All right, guys. Well, in some ways, getting to the last unit of the vocab book is a whole lot more fun and we're celebrating when we're in person, but nonetheless, here we are at the very last unit. So let's go ahead and talk about our unit 15 words. All right, our first word is an amenity. An amenity is something which is pleasant or agreeable. You may see at hotels, we offer certain amenities like a exercise room or a hot towel service or things like that. There are features and things like that. You can see you might get an amenity kit at the bottom picture. If you're on an airline and it's a very nice one, you'll get some things that are nice to take care of yourself in. Hotels offer amenities in rooms like shampoo and shower gel and things like that. All right, and the aperture or an aperture is any kind of opening or gap or hole. If you're familiar with photography, the aperture with which you use to take your pictures can really shape the type of photograph you take. And so that's commonly where you see that, but it's any type of gap or hole in something. All right, dissidence is a difference of opinion or discontent. Whenever you see that dis at the beginning of a word, that prefix, it's usually an indication of something negative. It's the opposite of harmony or agreement. All right, Epicurean is an adjective. If someone or a group of people is described as Epicurean, that means that they're just kind of devoted to pleasure and having a good time, comfort and ease. As a noun, an Epicurean is someone with real discriminating tastes. So they're have a real refined palate. They can maybe taste, differences in wine qualities or cheeses or things like that. It's the opposite of someone who is abstemious, a word we had previously, someone who forgoes things or does without. All right, improvident is an adjective that means not thrifty or failing to plan ahead. It's not somebody who's thinking of the future. You have this little cartoon here. It says, the squirrel is sleeping and it's not collecting acorns. So it's not going to be ready when the cold temperatures come. So improvident could be used to describe that sleeping squirrel. Iniquity is a noun. It's another word for wickedness or sin or some kind of grossly immoral act. Inviolable is an adjective that describes something that's sacred, something that is so strong, of such a character that it might not be broken or injured. It's the opposite of something that is vulnerable or could be assailed or attacked. That's a tougher word for this unit, but it cannot be violated. Maybe that's a way to look at that word. All right, mutable is an adjective. That means if something is mutable, it's open or capable of change. So it's not something that's constant. It's something that can change. Nascent is an adjective that means just beginning to exist or develop, having just come into existence, like a new plant. We see all the trees blooming outside right now. You can see I've got a picture of a developing baby in the womb. Okay, it's the opposite of something that is dying or moribund, which is a previous word we just had, but it means just beginning to exist or develop. Obeisance is a noun, okay, and obeisance is a deep bow or other body movement that indicates respect or submission. So you can see on the left-hand image someone bowing down in some type of religious sign of worship. On the right-hand side, you see a picture of the dog sitting, showing that type of respect or submission to his or her owner. So obeisance, they show their obedience. All right, a panegyric is a formal or elaborate praise, a tribute. This is a synonym for eulogy earlier in the year and also a synonym for an encomium. It's the opposite of a diatribe or a tirade. So definitely a positive word. All right, a pillory is any kind of device for publicly punishing offenders or to kind of expose someone to public contempt or ridicule. It's the opposite of praise. It is the opposite of acclaim. Pittance. If you receive a pittance, it is this really pathetic allowance, wage, or portion of something. So it's this itty bitty bit. All right, to presage as a verb is to foreshadow or point to a future event, to predict. Okay. A presage as a noun is any kind of warning or indication about the future. We had the word portend as a verb earlier this year, and that means the same thing. But again, that pre means before. A sage is a wise person. So it's kind of like before, someone who has wisdom of something beforehand. All right, your progeny are your descendants, your offspring, your children, or your followers. I have an image on the right-hand side of me with my progeny, my two children. It's the opposite of your ancestors. All right, to promulgate something is to explain or issue it officially or to make it known far and wide. Just today, President Trump promulgated an expanded social distancing policy until April 30th. Okay. Rectitude. Your rectitude is your uprightness, your righteousness, your correctness. I have a picture of Abraham Lincoln. He's known as Honest Abe. You see Homer Simpson here kind of debating between his righteousness and his evil, I guess his iniquity. You can see that rectitude is an opposite of iniquity, which is another word from this unit. Restive is an adjective that means restless or hard to manage. It's the opposite of being very chill and serene. All right, seraphic is an adjective that means angelic or heavenly or celestial. Seraphim is a really fancy word for a type of angel that's supposed to be in heaven. So that's why this adjective form's a little easier for me because I have that point of reference. So angelic, heavenly, it has to do with angels. All right, to subsist on something, to subsist is to have existence, to remain alive or manage to make a living or maintain life. To persist or to continue is to subsist. And that is our last word. All right, I think I got to double check. That seemed to go by pretty quickly today.